Do you think that trend continues if he finds himself not banned?
See, I would say yes, but right now I see both Jace and the Lucian more importantly open. Fnatic, of course, ban away the Lucian to secure a good bottom lane here for Reckless, which indicates to me that, again, they're going to be looking for a more scaling pick in the bottom lane. It's the arms race for AD carries whenever Fnatic is in the game, and Reckless is going to look for something that can teamfight super, super well.
And, well, there's the Kai'Sa. It's something that Reckless has played several times. He picked up a pentakill several weeks ago on that champion, but the Sylas is open and available. Insta-swap, and there's big grins and smiles on Bwipo's face. My gut tells me he's going to get it, but we need to see the rest of the draw.
Yeah, I mean, Bwipo would love to have it. I bet Nemesis also would like to see that go into his hands as well. So if you're over on Rogue side, what do you take up against it? And actually, they're going to lock in the Ryze very, very quickly. Actually, a snap with the Braum as well. And we know that with Galio off the table, Braum certainly does rise in priority. But now that Rogue have sort of taken themselves a mid laner, it leaves me with the question, do they go for a strong AD carry as their third pick, or do they try to get Kikis on something that can facilitate a strong early game for Rogue?
What would you prefer to see them play? Now, we need to get a few more picks before we answer that question, but do you have a preference?
I do have a preference, and I want Kikis on something that can slam early game. He's taken the Olaf in his last 3 games. I think there's also some other good options with the Rek'Sai as well. I would like to see him on a champion that can try to combat Fnatic here in the early game.
And of course, just to go back to that Ryze that you picked on, Ezreal and Braum to round out phase 1. Ryze into Sylas in the mid lane is something that Amazing has been talking a lot about backstage. He likes the champion into Sylas. Ryze's kit, especially when using Phase Rush, does very well. And we get to see whether or not Senkux and Nemesis will go toe-to-toe there.
Exactly, because of course the Ryze still can go into the top lane, the Sylas can go top or jungle as well, so these teams going to be playing some mind games. Of course, we do have both bot lane duos locked in, and Fnatic, once again, they go for the Xayah Rakan duo, and they're sort of the only team in Europe at the moment that likes to go for this combination. And what it brings Fnatic is sort of twofold. One, it gives them strong pushing power in the laning phase. You can try to clear the waves out here if you are the Xayah, but also protection here for Reckless later on, because the rest of Fnatic likes to play comps that dive right on in there.
Okay, let's see how Reckless round out their draft. Sorry, Fnatic round out their draft.
Reckless is calling the shots, let's be real.
I know. You know, the words left my mouth and I was like, but listen, you mentioned the Olaf. It is banned away along with that Nocturne, the Rek'Sai, the Jax as well. So we're going to be digging down the jungler pool just a little bit, but Lee Sin, definitely something that would work. We just saw the Sejuani coming out for Memento while it didn't win the game. A couple of different options available to them.
Yeah, and Kikis stealing away the Lee Sin from Broxah. Of course, that is Broxah's most played champion so far in the split. And this is where Fnatic reveal their hand. What is the choice going to be? Because we've seen when Broxah loses some jungle options, he goes back towards the Zac. That is what we would expect a few weeks ago, but I much prefer the Elise that gets locked in here for Broxah. This champion is absolutely terrifying. When sitting in the Fog of War looking for a Cocoon, you can burst almost anyone on this Rogue team.
And for anybody that has been watching the European scene for a little while, I'm sure you'll remember Broxah's debut games on champions like Elise and Lee Sin when playing into Cassiopeia's. He dodged every single petrifying gaze for his first few games on this stage. We round out the team composition with the Elise and the Aatrox, so still got the Flexaroo possibility, but I can see a furled eyebrow. And what do you make, and where do you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's sort of going on here in Fnatic's mind, because I think they felt they needed a little more AD in this composition with both the Elise and the Sylas locked in. So Aatrox at the moment can go top lane, does get pushed in by the Ryze early on if it is going to be that Ryze, but now it gets even scarier because this is going to be a Camille in the top lane here for Finn. One of those unique picks that he's sort of bringing out of solo queue here, because it's been a while since we've seen it in the top lane, but it was a classic good matchup up against the Aatrox for its ability to force onto him and take very good trades from close range.
I really want to break that down once we're in game. Let's step back and look at both team compositions. What do they want to do to unlock a victory?
Yeah, well, looking at these two teams, I think Kikis has a lot of tools to play with here in the early game. I mean, Lee Sin into the Elise is sort of a volatile matchup. You know, I think Elise does get the advantage whenever they fight against each other, but Kikis has top lane he can look for ganks, mid lane as well with the Ryze to sort of set him up. I'm going to be tracking him specifically to see what he can do for this Rogue team.
And what about the Fnatic squad? Same question.
Same question. Well, I think they have some stronger engage tools here with the Rakan. Fnatic used that to be able to engage onto multiple targets and sort of chain CC multiple members during yesterday's game, rather. And they have the tools of Broxa plus Nemesis. These two players haven't worked super well together in the past, but I think as we sort of push forward here with Fnatic on the rise, these two players with these two champions can have a big impact in the match.
And one of the things that we looked at yesterday, myself and Amazing with Elise in particular, was just how with strong lanes, a champion like Elise can play any number of options. Phenomenal at tower diving. And when you think Aatrox, Sylas, Xayah, Rakan, like literally Broxa has the pick of the litter for easy tower dives, lots of damage, lots of CC.
Oh yeah, I mean there's CC all across the board right here. And it's going to be a very exciting one here for Fnatic. This is such an important match. They got to keep on the win streak.
Well, take a look at the fans here in Berlin. Fnatic for playoffs, in the race for playoffs. Looking towards Rotterdam here in the LEC Spring Split. Fnatic have come back from a disastrous start. Ignore the pause, ignore the pause. Hype building, hype building.
Keep clapping.
But it really is such a phenomenal story. At the beginning of the day, we used the term redemption arc for Fnatic because they had just a really disappointing start to the 2019 season after making finals, after losing two keystone players in Caps and SOAS, and now they are, just a couple wins away from playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they are, and it's scary, too, if you are one of the teams at the top of the league, right? Your G2s, your Vitalities of the world, because even though this Fnatic roster is trying to sort of slip into playoffs as one of the lower-tier seeds coming in, the way this squad has been playing is not of a sixth-place team. They are definitely on the rise, definitely trying to contest the top of the table.
What's amazing to keep in mind and remember is that a week ago, we thought Fnatic could take 5th or 6th. Today, they might go as high as 3rd. Like the game is so close, the league is so close and so competitive right now for a number of reasons. And we need to see where they're going to end up. Of course, Sandcucks getting his chill on.
That's some resident sleeper right there, quick shot.
Definitely taking a small breather. I will give you guys an update as soon as I know a little bit more details as to why Rogue have decided to pause the game. Can confirm from production, it is a reported performance issue on one of the PCs on the Rogue side. I believe it is Kikis. Our league officials are currently investigating. Once the investigation has concluded, I will then give you guys an update. But one of the things that you mentioned during draft, Ender, was that Fnatic's team composition has a few more tools for engage. I think the Rakan, the likes of Elise, at least when it comes to picks. But what about the side of Rogue? They've also got a lot of pick power. The Ryze, the Lee Sin, the Camille. So once the game plays out, like the mid game especially, is it a team that whoever has the tools, whoever has a gold lead, can just stay ahead because they can just keep killing you?
Yeah, I would say that the team with the gold lead is definitely going to be favored because when I look at both these compositions, I see a lot of similar tools, right? You have very strong solo laners, very strong early game junglers, and the ability to sort of 1-3-1 with, your Camille versus Aatrox, your Sylas versus Ryze. So whoever does have the gold advantage should be favored, but I almost think that if it's kept within, 2,000 or 3,000 gold to either side, that you are going to have the ability to outplay your opponents because these compositions are so similar overall. I would say, though, that looking at Rogue in particular, they have more defensive tools with stuff like the Braum and Lee Sin to kick members away, whilst Fnatic have those abilities to go right on in there.
I really like that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping right back into the game as Fnatic are taking on Rogue. And Fnatic have got their eyes set on that playoffs position. And as we've already mentioned, out of 10,000 simulations, Rogue are eliminated from playoffs in 9,998. One of those includes losing this game. If Rogue go down, then they will be eliminated mathematically from playoffs. So there's a lot at stake here for Rogue. I mean, 2 out of 10,000 simulations is not great odds to hold on to.
Nope,
and
definitely not.
Let's be frank, we are expecting Rogue to drop out, but that also means they can play spoiler. If Rogue pick up a win against Fnatic, then all of a sudden that 6-7 scoreline, 6-8, you're now one step behind the playoff race when you see Splice at 8 wins, when you see SK at 7-7.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look back in European history as well, Spring Split of last year, you had a misfit squad that should have made it into the playoff race, and they ended up losing to a Roccat, one of the teams that was just here to play spoiler. So you have to remember that when some of the head-to-heads don't necessarily go your way, you still have to be picking up every single win that comes along here. And it's no different for Fnatic in this game, as again, my eyes are going to be on the two junglers here in the early game to see how they end up impacting the map.
Okay, talking about that, we'll see decision making. Red buff start for Broxah, blue buff on the side of Kikis. Going to start making their ways towards the top half of the map. And I want to draw our attention very briefly to Bwipo, as he has traditionally been left on an island, has traditionally been sacked in favor, especially in Fnatic's winning ways of the bottom lane. You can see solo kills though, picks up 4, his Jarvan yesterday helping that out a lot. Today on the Aatrox, I wouldn't mind seeing some more attention for him. Yeah,
I'm like, solo kills against Camille probably not going to be super likely, but hey, if you look at sort of setup for ganks, Aatrox has a lot of CC tools in his kit, and I think that this top lane is going to be super explosive. I think Fnatic have the edge in terms of early game 2v2 right now if both junglers were to make it up towards the top side of the map. So I'd expect Finn to play maybe a bit more defensive until he gets a first base under his belt, until he gets a Tiamat, so he can start contesting the wave clear.
And what I really love is we get 2 Conqueror top laners that are going to be trading, 2 junglers heading towards the top lane. If you look at the mini-map, at least they're going to be clearing out the Krug camp as well as a Scuttle Crab for now. And no real attention just yet. If Bwipo keeps pushing, maybe he's at a little bit of threat, but he's got a lot of tools available to escape any potential game.
Yeah, and you can see just by how Finn is playing the lane that he knows that the junglers are mismatched at the moment. He's actually getting chunked out pretty substantially here by Bwipo, and you can see Nemesis and Broxah on the prowl. They're going to meet Kikis here inside of the jungle.
Tower dive! Tower dive! Bwipo's going to be backing away. Here comes Kikis. Defensive flash already used. Broxah swaps back to human form, looking for the cocoon, needs to throw it through the minions. That's first blood already picked up. Secured solo for Nemesis. Now Kikis is in trouble. Next, Nemesis takes 1 tower shot. Repel up, drop down. Fnatic find 2 beautiful kills.
That was absolutely perfectly played. Now Senkux is here. Teleport comes in from Finn. Is he going to flash for it? The answer is no. Oh my word, Fnatic just outplayed Rogue 2v3 underneath the tower at 3 minutes, Trevor.
That is exactly what we expected. That's why you picked an Elise. Now, I didn't expect Nemesis to roam. I will give them that point. But, you know, we talked about Bwipo's island yesterday. Reckless in the post-game interview said, we can play around any lane. Today, they prove it.
Exactly, and I love how they're trying to, you know, redefine our own expectations of this team. First, it starts off, let's send multiple members to top lane, but then consider who it is. It's Broxah working with Nemesis, and this is what we wanted to see more out of. I think Nemesis and Broxah juggled the turret aggro so perfectly to make sure they got out unscathed, because honestly, that was a pretty hard play to pull off that they did just about perfectly.
Yeah, really nicely done. Nemesis walks out of that tower range. Broxah uses the repel flawlessly, and it gives Fnatic a 1,000 gold lead before 5 minutes. And it gives a kill to Broxah, a kill to Nemesis. We've already seen just how dominant Sylas can be. 3 games in a row, 3 first picks, and it secures first blood in actual fact solo.
Yeah, let's just watch this one more time, because I think it starts out with Bwipo getting a fantastic trade. Actually cancels the E there from Finn. So both go low.
Fight, fight, fight. Infernal Chains flashed away from. Bwipo's not going to be able to continue the chase, but that summon spell used. There's the Dark and Blade used once and twice.
He has hook shot, he has hook shot. He's
all right. Finn's looking for an opportunity. If he gets the knock-up, it can work in his favor. Not going to do it just yet. I'm waiting to see for the trade. Literally, Ender and I are as close to the monsters we can get because we're waiting for something to happen. And Broxah, on a tower diving champion, is looking for another kill.
Oh man, Finn's in a terrible spot right now. Luckily for him, Bwipo is fairly low, but he knows Broxah can just solo dive him. So without the flash, without the teleport, he has to back away from the minion wave, and that means he misses 6 minions to that tower. He's going to fall further and further behind into CS. And to make matters worse, I believe that wave should end up pushing back in towards Bwipo's side. So Finn will have to overextend himself.
Okay, now we saw the really strong start here from Fnatic. We've not talked too much about this duo lane. 48 CS to 48. Hiku is already backed. Compliments of the teleport. Returned with that Sheen and is shoving into Reckless. So Reckless is at an item disadvantage and will be waiting to return and shop. But nothing too worrying just yet because all the action has been focused around the top lane. And that's a good sign for Fnatic.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to focus around the top lane. You can see that Rogue and specifically Kikis identify properly what is going on with the minion wave top lane. So now you have Kikis coming out of his base to path up here towards Finn, but he's on a ward. Broxah knows exactly where he is, and Broxah wants to fight him.
All right, so here we go. 1-on-1 in the top lane, 1-on-1 in the jungle. Fnatic are winning both. Broxah's not going to find the cocoon, but the repel is just in range. Kikis is looking for a target. He's flashless, remember. Red buff is ticking away. Very cheeky play on the Sonic Wave. Broxah's not done yet. Look at the minimap. Nexus is coming. Nemesis is coming up as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like that play from Kikis, but again, now I'm concerned that Finn just gets zoned off the tower one more time. It ends up being that Nemesis and Broxah want to back away from this, but look at the wave. Finn actually cannot farm.
All right, Bwipo is going to try to keep Finn at bay. The chains are stepped out of. Bwipo actually does a big Q and not going to stop the wave just yet. Fighting it because Broxah, they smell blood in the water. It's like a Jaws movie. Dun, 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 dun. Finn, goodbye, buddy. Not much you can do. Hextech ultimates will buy a few seconds, surely. And here comes Broxah, Venomous Fang. Come on, one more bite. We'll be able to pick it up. Looked a little dramatic at the end, but just easy, beautiful, clean League of Legends.
Yeah, and I think that this is actually one of the big things that separates top teams from bottom teams. And I'm going to say that with Fnatic right now, they do look like they are pushing towards the top, and they know how to play around top lane. And specifically, it's Broxah with a winning jungle matchup that's just owning right now. And Kikis just gets chunked out of his jungle and can't actually support a Finn who is now 20 CS down to Bwipo.
There is a lot of pressure in the bottom lane. Reckless gets chunked a little bit low. There are a lot of Fnatic fans here in Berlin, and after Finn kept getting killed, you can hear the cheers and chants now. Even the fans here are like, "Ooh, that hurts." Like, B-Knight, Rogue have families, you know? It just feels like bullying at the moment. 20 CS advantage, 2-0 on Broxah, Sork shoes already completed. And that just means he's going to get more damage to get more kills and snowball this advantage as we get to 10 minutes.
And he's going to run even faster, so that means he's going to get to your lane more quickly. He's going to be looking for the kills, and it's not going to be pretty. But right now, actually, Broxah is sort of working towards the bottom side. It's actually interesting because Hikyu has stayed on the map for quite some time. He's very low on mana and doesn't have the teleport, so Broxah is going to try to either just get a good reset or Fnatic, or if Hikyu steps a little too far forward, then maybe they can try to get a summon.
Are you a fisherman at all, Ender? Because right now, Fnatic are using some bait. Going to chase down into Hikyu, down to 100 HP. Here comes Nemesis from behind, though. Reckless summoning heal has already been used. He's holding on to Flash. Nemesis looking for one. Gonna flash forward. Hikyu sidesteps for a few seconds, but this is a 4-man stack in the bottom lane. Nemesis isn't done yet, and he's got a Dragon Rage kick.
Yeah, he gets the kick, too, so he's gonna just punch Kikis right back into the team.
Oh, this just feels so bad, man. Nemesis keeps hunting and chasing down. Here comes the rest of Fnatic. Vander's running for his life as Kikis has got red buff available. Not gonna be able to do enough, and Vander, the only man to escape with his life.
This is just super clean League of Legends here from Fnatic. They always have mid-control here with Nemesis. And Nemesis and Broxah, I have to say it again, they are absolutely on the same page. Whenever Broxah is making a play, Nemesis is there to back him up. And you can see Hylissang goes for a beautiful engage here onto Hikyu, who has no mana, has no way to fight back. And then Fnatic play a little bit slowly. You have Nemesis on the side to get Hikyu.
Nemesis is unshackled on the Sylas right now. He's roamed for every single play, nearly 100% kill participation, and really just stepping up when Fnatic needs it.
Yep, and this is the frustration of playing against Sylas. Kikis is like, okay, maybe I can do something. Nemesis uses his own ultimate to punt him right back into the rest of Fnatic to set up for yet another kill and more turret plating. And now we go top lane 1v2.
All right, 1v2. Bwipo may be able to win this. If you look at the minimap, support is coming up.
Going in.
He's chasing. 1v3. Now he needs to be a little cautious. Remember, playing a little bit of the bait game. Hylissang and Broxah are now coming up. The recall starts to get channeled from Finn. Kikis finds himself running into some trouble, and Bwipo is playing on the knife's edge of aggression. But look, it's 10 minutes in. It's a 3,000 gold lead. Let's not kid ourselves. A lot of people anticipated Fnatic to win this game. The manner in which they are playing is what is very, very impressive.
Exactly, and this just sort of goes back to the thing we've tried to hammer home all day. It's that Fnatic are a 6-7 team, but they're not a 6-7 team, Trevor, right? In the last 3 weeks, they are on a solid winning streak. They've got momentum behind them, and the way they're playing the map right now is really, really impressive.
And let's see what they can do to accelerate this further. Near instantaneous use of the Rift Herald. Got control of the mid lane. Plates are still up. Fnatic have secured 3 plates in the bottom lane. Tower, first blood bonus in the mid lane. A plate in the top lane. And it's just domination.
Yeah, I mean, that's the four-man plate gank in mid lane, Trevor. I mean, what can Senkux actually do? He's like, guys, this isn't really fair. There's no one on my team. And in the meantime, I mean, Hikyu is trying to push up top lane, but he can't get anything done against a Bwipo that's going 1v3. And while Rogue had gone for the swap and Fnatic won the trade around the Rift Herald and ended up picking that objective up, you also had Reckless down bottom lane, sort of free farming until eventually he pulled a teleport out of Finn. So right now it seems like Fnatic have all the options and are going to be looking to take as many plates down as they possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to extend that gold lead even further. Fnatic are just doing such a great job, and I want to go back to something we've said a few times today, at least, is that the playoff race is incredibly close. It's incredibly, you know, high levels of competition between 8 teams, and with G2 losing, you know, if they lose another game, they could lose that first seed going to the postseason. But one of the interesting thoughts that I've had several times today is Finn may get some support here from Kikis, is if you were to do power rankings and start looking at S-tier teams, A-tier teams, B-tier teams, it becomes very interesting to see how different that is from the standings. Now, Bwipo's got World Ender available. Hextech Ultimatum comes down. Bwipo continues to fight. Infernal Chains will not tag Kikis, but with just the use of the ultimate, Bwipo escapes.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Broxa on the other side of the map looking for the flank here with Hellsing. Lands a beautiful cocoon here onto Rogue, and Nemesis on the prowl as well.
Oh, so nicely done. The Charm finds 2. Here comes Nemesis once more. That's a killing spree for him. Turns his attention. Broxa is on a rampage. 6 kills apiece. Or 6 kills they've been involved in. While all that's going on, Kikis is trying to farm between 2 towers, and it's not working. 15 turret plates secured and 2 towers. Correction, 13.
13.
I couldn't do math. Turret plates secured and 2 towers for Fnatic. A 6,000 gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic putting Rogue in a really tough position, because you look at Kikis, right, and he knows Brox is going top lane, but there's nothing he can really do about it. Even if you're sitting under that tower, Fnatic are still going to four-man you, still going to punish you. He tried to go for the retaliation play on the bottom side, but Natrox just isn't going to die. And Ezreal, however, he probably is, especially when 4 people on the side of Fnatic get this beautiful flank down on towards Hikyu. And you can see that really the difference in this game is mid laners. You know, I think that Nemesis has the push every single time he's making these rotations, while Ryze wants to be doing the same. He has the Realm Warp, but he never has the lane power to actually be able to activate on it.
And this isn't a lane matchup that Ryze, in theory, on paper, can do okay into Sylas, but he never got the time to. Nemesis just shoved and pushed mid lane every single time, and he's duoed up with this Elise of Broxa to give Fnatic this phenomenal lead. First Dragon will be secured shortly. The last tower is going to fall over in a moment or two, and for Fnatic, it's just a matter of how long will it take him to finish this game?
Yeah, that's definitely the question. I think that, you know, as we have a little bit of time, it's nice to re-examine this Sylas pick, because we look at it and you say, yeah, you know, maybe the Ryze has a good matchup into it, but that's a defensive matchup, because Sylas, in basically every single lane he plays, gets the push priority. He has the Q, he has the passive to clear away these waves, and Fnatic first picked that. I think it was a mistake from Rogue not to ban away that champion, and we're going to continue to see teams that pick up the Sylas, push the lane, and make plays around the map. And I think Fnatic has done an excellent job of executing on the power of this pick.
Well, near flawless play. 15 minutes in, over 7,000 gold up. And Fnatic, 4 towers to 1. They've just lost their first tower, but it was to allow them to secure the Dragon down bottom, both bottom lane towers. And you can see itemization-wise, Rod of Ages is slowly stacking for Nemesis. Reckless has got himself that Essence Reaver, double spell pin already picked up for Broxa. Got himself the Sork Shoes and Oblivion Orb. And Kikis is like, nope, do not want none of that, because he would have just been killed so quickly against Bwipo.
Yes, he would have. Right now, actually, the Observer's doing a good job of pointing out that Rogue put down some pretty solid vision there, thanks to Kikis and some of the efforts here of the team. But vision only goes so far.
Yeah.
It's going to be used to help stop the bleeding at the moment. But we looked at it earlier. I think the comps are very similar. When you look at a 7,000 gold lead, you really just have to be trying to hold on here if you're on the side of Rogue.
This is the type of game you expect to see against a number 1 team in a league and a number 10 team in a league. You know, this is the type of game, if you took nameplates off, you might think G2 were playing on Fnatic's side. At least before today.
Yeah, before today,
yeah,
Trev.
Correction on that one. And it's really impressive. And I think if you are a Fnatic fan, and you are looking to the postseason, you are looking to the next few weeks, seeing how well Broxa, Nemesis, and Bwipo are stepping up is very impressive. Nemesis goes a little bit of a tower dive, The volatile Spiderling not going to be enough to kill snowballing, but look, there's so much damage, and there's no support from Rogue. They're behind the tempo of the game, behind the tempo of the play. They lose their 5th tower.
Yeah, I mean, it's so painful here, because no one on Rogue ever wants to be in the side lane anymore, especially up top lane, because Fnatic just keep pushing mid and collapsing on that player. snowballing is lucky to escape with his life. He has the cleanse and flash as well, so he was probably never going to die in that situation. But you can just see how Fnatic sort of just ball up, bring 4 members, and brute force their way through the jungle. And this is what we see from basically every team that builds up a strong advantage. It's all about just walking with all of your players, making sure we can't get picked off one by one, and using that power to take objectives and take control over this northern quadrant of the map, because that's what sets you up for the Baron and for the best chance of getting a pick later on in the game.
And of course, if you're in Fnatic's shoes right now, you anticipate a slightly slower pace for the next few minutes. They obviously can take any objectives that are presented, but play it safe, push vision, wait for Baron, get Baron and finish the game then. Because when we look at the league standings, Fnatic are still pushing towards playoffs. You can see, look at that. 8-6 for Splice, 7-6 Origin, 7-7 SK. If Fnatic close this game out, they are 7-7 with SK Gaming. Origin, if they lose a little bit later today, they have the ability to go 7-7 or 8-6. Either way, tied in that 3rd through 8th race.
Exactly, and Fnatic are looking at Schalke as well, because they're just trying to tick teams off of the list right now, because Schalke fell down to that 7-7 mark as well. So Fnatic have the chance to go from being tied with just 2 other members in the standings, potentially 3, to potentially surpassing them in the coming weeks.
All right, so we mentioned already, or at least I was alluding to it, Fnatic, they've got a mid-inner turret to push for. Baron is only up in 2 minutes. As you can see, the timer is on the top of your screen. And that was Rogue's vision. They have no control of their jungle. They no longer control the top half. And the ring of Fnatic control wards being pushed from river up is very, very strong. World End has been used by Bwipo. He's in a 1v2, but this may not be the end of the world. He does actually get revived, and here comes some support from Nemesis. Bwipo manages to survive a few seconds longer. Not going to pick up the kill just yet. Dash away from Infernal Chase. That's the first kill for Rogue. Now Nemesis is in a lot of trouble. 4 members of Rogue are pushing in, but look at the top of the map.
Yeah, Fnatic just continue to push, and it's because of the teleport from Nemesis. He forces all 5 members of Rogue to commit to the bottom lane. So Fnatic get away with an 18-minute inhibitor tower.
Unbelievable. 6 towers secured. Complete vision control at the top of the map. And that gold lead just continues to grow. Yes, Rogue got a kill. It's not worth it for the investment, for the tower going down, and for the amount of vision control Fnatic have set up.
No, it's definitely not, and we've seen this multiple times so far this game from Rogue. They know they can't engage onto the 4-man stack of Fnatic, so let's go for Bwipo. But he's on this Aatrox, and the power of this pick is that even when he's getting 2-man, 3-man, 4-man, 5-man, he can buy so much time for the rest of his team and even look for that 1v2 kill. But you'll notice also from this play too, Nemesis coming in with the TP looks kind of troll at first. He's like, wait a second, you're outnumbered, how could this possibly go well? But it makes it so that Rogue have to commit not just the 2 members, but all 5 members to secure that play, and they lose the tower for it.
I mean, look at the item disparity because of this gold lead. Black Cleaver already completed for Bwipo, and got a couple more items of Thrift Shopping versus a Sheen, a Phage, and a Tiamat. 2 items completed for Nemesis, 2 items for Reckless, and only really Hiku is sort of on the curve right now thanks to some of that additional Klepto gold, but even he's still down 50 CS. snowballing is stacking up a little bit on that Archangels, but yet to upgrade and hasn't yet hit a stride he can contest.
And notice here, snowballing, as you mentioned, he's walking straight through that bottom lane. Realm Warp was going to be coming up relatively soon, but Bwipo has no intention of sticking around bottom lane. He's going to group up with Fnatic now, maybe try to bait a teleport out of Finn if they want to commit harder towards Baron, because there's 4 control wards all around the entrance to the river.
All right, Ender, I want you to grade Fnatic's Baron setup. Talk to me what you like about what they're doing, and if you think they're skipping any steps, if at all.
They're not skipping any steps. They have 5 control wards in a super tight area around the Baron. If anything, I say they don't go far enough with their vision denial, but they walked into the jungle with some of those sweepers trying to clear away wards. So right now, Rogue have one ward on their red buff, and that is it. Currently, Fnatic can push mid, step back into the fog of war, and for the next 30 seconds until the minion waves meet again, Rogue are going to be wondering to themselves, have Fnatic actually started that objective?
Well, we're going to find out, because for the time being, the answer is no. Fnatic did pick up that Cloud Drake a few moments ago. He's going to be able to complete the recall. I held my breath for a moment. And of course, because Fnatic are not necessarily playing out that objective right now, it gives Rogue a little bit of time to contest some of the shallower vision. Nemesis once again has hijacked that Braum ultimate. I think he's used it like 2 or 3 times this game already.
Yeah, the challenge here for Rogue, definitely going to be trying to reclaim some territory on their own side of the map. But you'll see that because the side lanes for Fnatic are always being pushed in and they're controlling the waves relatively well, Rogue never have more than 3 people to sort of contest for that vision. So they can only get these very, very shallow wards. You see Vander trying to place it in unique positions so that Fnatic won't see it on the clear, because he knows the fact of the matter is Fnatic can walk in whenever they want and try to deny vision.
This is exactly what you expect from Fnatic, from a team that has, you know, nearly 8,000 gold in the lead. There's a little bit of trade between Finn and Whippo in the bottom lane. Thank you for bringing that up on the screen. Fnatic will use this timing window to secure themselves at least one more tower. We'll take a look down the bottom lane. Finn may actually be winning this fight for the moment. World Ender is at max stacks, and Finn flashes for his life. Whippo ends up winning it entirely. That's some advantage, and obviously Finn does not want to commit when the revive passive is available for Whippo.
Yeah, I mean, the theory's there, right? You know, Camille should be a counter pick scaling into the side lane, but when you don't even have a Trinity Force at 22.5 minutes, you are never going to win a fight. And now, Rogue, without their top laner, without any vision, they're gonna try to get some back themselves.
Okay, Whippo's got some sustain here. Will get taken out by Senkux. Senkux is able to pick up the 2nd kill of the game. 1 or 2 people are clapping here in Berlin. But Fnatic, I think, wisely, they saw the True Shot Barrage. They backed away, playing this one a little bit safe. They do not want to risk a throw. They do not want to put themselves in a position for a 50-50 Baron and give Rogue the tools they need to buy time to claw back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic are playing it slow because they know probably the only way you lose is by throwing at the Baron buff, but this is actually pretty smart here from Senkux. He gets the pick over here on towards Whippo. Whippo just so strong that he almost trades 1-for-1 or even gets the solo kill right there, but I think this is actually the first point where we saw some miscommunication here from Fnatic. We're gonna have to hold that thought because they're going in.
All right, they are indeed. Vander's gonna be the first target. Hilly continues to chase into the back line. Red buff, I didn't see who picked that one up, but Hilly bites off more than he can chew, and he gets taken down. Now Whippo's going to be the next target. Realm Warp will only deliver Vander, and he won't be able to bite with any Winter.
So if bot lane was the first time we saw some miscommunication from Fnatic, that was the second time, because Hylissang goes really, really deep, and they actually didn't know where all the members of Rogue were at the start of that. So the squishy little Rakan gets popped almost immediately. Whippo expends the teleport as well, and the rest of Fnatic couldn't quite follow up.
Yeah, please take a look at the item disparity once again. Death Dance finish for Whippo, Infinity Edge finish for Reckless. 280 CS at 24 minutes. 7 towers secured. I mean, that is a terrifying Xayah. Yes, he's playing into an Ezreal, but still, like, nobody wants to be hit by those autos because he will burst down anybody on Rogue sides with no traditional tank. If a Cocoon finds a target, they are going to die. Hiku forced to flash for his life. Fnatic unable to find another kill.
Fnatic playing this pretty tentatively right now. You can see what they're trying to do. Bait out the Arcane Shift with the Cocoon and then follow it up. But the rest of Rogue now do have the right idea. You know, they've got 4 members sort of grouped up. They think Senkux has the best bet of 1v1ing Whippo in the side lane, but probably not of 2v1ing Whippo and Broxah in the side. Because right now Broxah is on the Dragon, but maybe not for long as Whippo is baiting Senkux in to go for the duel.
All right, Dragon is alive. I'm looking at the minimap. No support yet from the rest of Rogue. I'm going to ask the question as we are 25 minutes in, and Baron is currently being 2-manned. By the way, Hilly and Reckless, they started it off. Obviously, there's a gigantic lead for Fnatic. If we ignore the itemization and the advantage, do you prefer one team's scaling options, just champion for champion?
Champion for champion, that's a difficult question. I think that Rogue, in theory, at 6 items, you have a Camille that wins side lane, theoretically, up against the Aatrox. You have the Rise scaling as well, and you sort of have 2, you know, shotgun players in the backline. You have Senkux and Hiku with heavy sustained damage, but they have to get there, frankly, because Fnatic aren't trying to leave them an opening.
No, they're not going to get a chance at this rate. And we'll see whether or not we're going to explore that discussion. If you look at the minimap, Rogue, they have a feeling this is happening. Baron has already been secured. Rogue sitting, waiting for a call. Senkux was standing inside the red buff area of Fnatic, True Shot Barrage comes across, and Fnatic just steal away an uncontested Baron.
Yeah, I mean, we've all played these games, right? Where you're just like helplessly behind. Right now it's 9,000 gold. You have no vision control over the map as well. And we all know that, like, what do you actually do in that situation? Well, you probably sit pretty close to your base, try to farm up as well as you can, and hope you don't risk giving over the Baron. But if you walk into that Baron pit as well and try to take them in a 5v fight, well, you lose all 5 members, you also lose the Baron, and then you immediately lose the game. So while you might look at Rogue and say, well, you just need better vision control, right now, they honestly just can't do it.
26 minutes in, 35 seconds on the clock, and Finn has finally completed the Trinity Force. 199 CS, 0-3. I mean, he's been picked on, right? Fnatic have kept this Camille down. And Ender, you were talking about how Camille could be good in a side lane if given the chance to play League of Legends.
If equal itemization is true,
but he never did, and this is all credit to Fnatic. They played this game fantastically. So 27 minutes in, they've got themselves their hands on the Baron buff. They're pushing pressure mid and bottom, and it's just a matter of do they go for a tower dive, or do they just chip away at the towers and play safe like they have done?
Well, right now Rogue might be looking for a fight. Notice Kikis on the side of this fight. He has Flash, he has Ward Up, he has Kick available. If you're going to kick someone in, it almost has to be Reckless. You have to try and pick him off. And Rogue see the time ticking down. Both towers now reaching that 50% mark, and just a few more waves could explode their base.
It's so difficult to do. Reckless has got Featherstorm, has got Flash, has got Heal available. So a lot of tools to dodge that potential kick. Kickers will land a Sonic Wave, isn't going to follow it in just yet. Tower number 1 falls, tower number 2 just a couple orders away. That's fallen to all inhibitors are exposed. 11, 12,000 gold lead, and Fnatic are just really, really content. They are playing the threatening game. They will win any fight that Rogue starts as long as they don't get surprised. There's the Hextech Ultimatum. Bwipo does get chunked out. The World Ender used. This is because Fnatic are putting pressure in the top. Now, Bwipo goes down, but the inhibitor should fall. That's at least a catch now onto Broxah. He gets taken out. 2 quick kills for an inhibitor, but Baron's still up. Can Rogue get themselves any more? The Realm Warp will only deliver a couple of minions.
Ooh,
quickness is used
out the quickness. That's a good play there from Rogue, but they can't chase any further because there's minions on their Nexus towers. There's minions on this bottom lane inhibitor, and while they do get 2 important kills, including a big shutdown there onto Broxah, you have to feel like the odds are continuing to stack further and further against them.
I mean, it's really interesting when you look at that and you go, oh man, Fnatic lost 2. Oh man, there's kind of maybe a tiny sliver of hope.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter because it's the objectives that win the games. And look, I want to give some credit here. Rogue did have to pull the trigger. They did it the only time that wouldn't cost them the entire game. But it is such a difficult scenario to be in.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you notice what Fnatic actually did is they didn't split up super hard until all of the inhibitor towers were down. And then once that happened, they went to all 3 lanes as Kikis goes in here onto Nemesis. But that's a hard guy to kill.
Yep, you're not going to win that fight because Reckless manages to land the last auto. And that's 9th kill of the game. That's the first for Reckless. He increases his bounty value to 1,000 gold.
Yeah, I promise Reckless has been helping this game, guys.
360 CS at 29 minutes. I mean, you cannot deny the fact that he is controlling the side lanes, farming it up, being given a lot of resources, because the rest of his team are farming champions.
Yeah, this is definitely the Bwipo, Broxah, Nemesis show at the moment. Reckless, you know, sometimes it's nice to ride back easy. Now they're going for the next.
They are indeed. Reckless does get jumped on by Hextech Ultimatum. Summoner Heal buys some time. Featherstorm buys just a little bit more. Knockup from Hylissang will allow a kill to be secured onto Finn. Kikis will just be respawning as the rest of his team is trying to defend the base. Nexus turret number 1 is very, very low. Baron buff did expire, remember. Hylissang will not find a target, and Rogue are able to hold on for just a few seconds longer. Senkex tries to interrupt, and Realm Warp will be a few seconds now before Rogue can potentially chase with it. The double super minions in multiple lanes, and Fnatic, they are literally dancing with death, threatening Rogue to engage because they want to kill Rogue.
Yeah, they want to kill Rogue, and they're also actually trying to get both Bwipo and Nemesis back to base so they could TP back in on these next super minion waves. You can see 2 supers set up in the top lane, wave down bottom, and a teleport onto the fountain.
Fnatic are just moments away from picking up their 7th win of the spring split. A dive goes forward, and that's already a kill into Hikyu. The Nexus turrets are falling. The Nexus is being focused while Fnatic still fight themselves. Just a few more kills. Bwipo uses a stopwatch behind the Nexus to buy some time. Will survive a few seconds longer. The Nexus is being focused. Bwipo goes down, and Fnatic are 1 step closer to the playoffs.
The streak continues here for Fnatic, a very clean game of League of Legends from them, trying to defy some expectations. Broxa and Nemesis coming in and performing so well alongside one another to completely control and entirely dominate the map. A solid win if there ever was one.
2 weeks in a row, Fnatic go 2-0. That means they now tie themselves up in the standings with SK Gaming at 7-7. 1 win behind Splice, who are at 8-6. And it is just a really, really interesting position to be in when you consider Fnatic still have to play Splice. And they are currently 1-0 up over Splice. So that could be a very pivotal matchup when we get towards the end of the spring split.
I mean, there's so many important matchups coming up here for Fnatic, and it's really incredible too, because you look 2 weeks ago, and even though we thought, yes, this team is doing better, they still looked hopelessly out of playoff contention after winning so many games in the last few weeks, following it up with another win here this evening. Well, this team looks like they're trying to go straight to the top.
I can't shake this idea of power rankings from my head. And you know, fans at home and viewers watching, if you were to rank the S tier teams, the A tier teams, the B tier teams, how do you delineate them when we say SK taking down G2, Fnatic on a streak?
Well, honestly, I like the question. I think you have to say G2 Vitality first, and that's where the playing field really opens up to me. And I think you can make a healthy argument for a Fnatic that we just saw win, an Origin that took down G2 prior. There's a lot of teams that can sort of defy expectations and move their way up very high in the standings. Or there's a lot of teams that can also just slip right on out of there, and we don't even see them in the postseason.
I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, Rogue are now eliminated, of course, from a playoff, so they will not be able to make it in 2 out of those 10,000 simulations. But they still have the ability to play spoiler. They still have the ability to ruin other teams' chances over the next 2 weeks, and you cannot take that lightly. You cannot make that mistake. Look, we've got a couple of highlights from Fnatic's earlier game, you know, from this, and I think it all started with this tower dive. Look at the minimap. You'll notice Broxa and Nemesis both coming up.
Oh man, this is just so beautiful right here. And not an easy play to pull off, right? Tower diving 2 members is not easy, but Bwipo absolutely smashed Finn right there. It sets up for an easy kill. Then now notice how Nemesis holds on to the tower aggro. He takes all the shots he can to allow Brox and Bwipo to finish off the kill onto Kikis. Brox is the first one to attack as well, so he gets to repel and leave the aggro behind. Then after another play up the top side, they make their way right down towards bottom lane and continue this snowball effect.
And I think the biggest thing to take away from this game is just how Fnatic were completely in Broxa, Nemesis, and Bwipo's backpack. You know, they really played to enable Bwipo. Nemesis and Broxa in particular, the shining stars for today's game. And Fnatic show us a convincing win, and also more importantly for me, 2 very empowering games for somebody like Bwipo, for somebody like Nemesis yesterday and today.
Yeah, I mean, Bwipo, his record speaks for himself, but for me, I'm most interested in Nemesis, because previously in the split, you know, we saw him laning and he looked like he was a pretty good player, but Fnatic never gave him the resources he needed to succeed. So he said, you know what? Maybe you guys don't give me resources, I'll just win lane on my own, and then just hard smash every lane on the opposite sides of the map for you.
Take a look at the damage Delta Champions graph. That tells a story. Bwipo really in the thick of things. Now, to be fair, he also was in a number of more skirmishes when Rogue was trying to chase him down, and he actually got away from more than I was expecting. But a very impressive win, and of course, it's the reason why Bwipo is one of your players of the game, along with Broxa and Nemesis. If anybody else was there, I would have been heartbroken. Go on to Twitter and vote for your key up player of the game at LOL Esports. Enda, who's your player of the game? You have to pick one.
Nemesis.
Say Nemesis. Yeah. Do you know what? The words left my mouth, and I'm like, oh, I know he's going to say Nemesis.
It's easy.
It was a bad question. We'll see if the fans at home actually agree with you or not. Twitter. At LOL Esports. So, well, final thoughts here. Rogue eliminated from playoffs. Fnatic 1 step closer. 7 wins, 7 losses. And it's much more spicy when you look forward. You know they're playing Splice. How high can they go in the standings? That's the question I ask you.
I think they can get up to 4th or even 3rd. All the other teams around them are faltering at the moment, and Fnatic look like they're just playing really solid League of Legends.
4th or 3rd. See if you guys at home agree. Coming up next, XL Esports look to continue shaking things up here in the